and gentlemen, please give a warm welcome to Jon Moore, Chief Executive Officer, BloombergNEF.
Good morning, everybody. It's really great to see you all, great to be here. Thank you very much to Baker Hughes for putting on this amazing event. It's really a privilege, and it's really great to be here. It's also great timing for us because just last month we finalized the numbers for the investment flowing into the energy transition. We track 10 different sectors each year, and we work out where the money's flowing into the energy transition. And only last Thursday, we published the report. And I just wanted to share with you some of the highlights, really to put in context what's happening, where it's happening, what's happening to different technologies. The big number in terms of investment is actually $2.1 trillion went into energy transition technologies last year. That's a pretty amazing number. The bailout of the financial crisis in 2008 was about $2 trillion, about the same number, and that's what went into these technologies. And you can see things like renewable energy, electrified transport, grids, etc., being a big piece of that. So that's a global number, up 11% year on year. And if you look at it by geography, Asia's actually 1 trillion of that 2.1 trillion. It's pretty amazing. It's up 21% year on year. China alone is 818 billion. That was more than the US, Europe, and the UK put together. But it's not just China across Asia, it's many, many other countries that are really starting to invest. It's a very different picture for Europe. So if you look at EMEA, it's actually down year on year. So that's pretty amazing, down 1.6% down. Pretty much all of those sectors have either stagnated or reduced a little bit, apart from grids. Grids was up 20%. So the realization that if you want to electrify a lot of things, you've got to invest in grid really is hitting home. So grids are up in Europe. And then the Americas pretty much in between. So it's up 7%. So, you know, it's 21% in Asia, down in Europe, up 7%. So it's about a third of where Asia is. And a bigger jump in 2023. That was where the IRA was really playing a bigger role. That reduced somewhat last year. That was geography, but if we look at it by technology, it's even more interesting, actually. So you'll see on the left there, the mature technologies, the scaling technologies, actually took 93% of that 2.1 trillion. That's pretty amazing. So just 4 of those areas was 93%. And on the right, you'll see just 7% went into these much earlier stage technologies. That's the sort of starkest difference we've ever seen. And I'm just going to highlight a few things. So in terms of what's going in the fast lane, renewables, clearly, 728 billion last year, up 8%. You can see solar really is the standout here, so solar moving very quickly. Offshore wind was up 5%. Onshore wind was up 5%. Offshore wind was down 50%. So again, wind, it's struggling much more than solar. And actually, in terms of where it's being rolled out, the thing to look at here is rest of. It's really rest of Asia, rest of EMEA, rest of Americas, where most of the growth is coming from. So it's spreading out into many more markets. Energy storage is another fast-moving. If you're going to have renewables with intermittency, you really need storage. This is up 36% year on year, moving very quickly. Battery pack costs were down 20% in 2024. That's a pretty amazing 20% in just 1 year, and that's what's driving that uptake along with the renewable build-out. And most of that is going into utility scale, and some of that is going into residential, but utility scale is the lion's share of it. And then on EVs, so what you'll see, EVs keeps growing. There's a lot of been press around the EV transition slowing down. It's up 20% year on year. 17 million electric vehicles were sold last year. A lot of those in Asia, but it's not just China. It's places like Vietnam, places like Indonesia, where we're also seeing rapid growth. And most of that is in passenger vehicles. So if you look at the segmentation, the blue at the bottom is passenger vehicles, followed by 2- and 3-wheelers, commercial, then charging infrastructure. And you can see that colored band at the top is starting to grow. So things around EVs are really starting to expand. And finally, on the growth side is the grid. So, 5 years ago, the grid was barely mentioned at these kinds of discussions. Now everybody knows the grid is absolutely required for electrification. And you can see that $390 billion is up 15% year on year. So the grid really is attracting some investment. So that's what's growing fast. What about some other areas? So some technologies, no doubt, you've been heavily involved in and talked about. So this is CCS, so it actually fell dramatically last year. In 2023, you could see we thought this was in takeoff mode. We were saying, look, it's more than doubled, this is fantastic. Well, we're back to halving again. And the other interesting thing is this is $6 billion. So we've been talking about, $700 billion on renewables and EVs. This is just 6. So it's an order of magnitude. So we're much, much earlier in the transition for these technologies. And in terms of where is it going, you can see power at the bottom has been increasing. So there's been more CCS in the power applications. If you look at the yellow there, you'll see hydrogen, less on hydrogen. So that was a real downtick last year. And if we actually look at hydrogen itself, again, that correlates with less investment flowing into hydrogen year on year across all of the different sectors, apart from pipelines. So infrastructure investment is up, everything else is down. And that's the same for all regions now are investing. Again, last year in 2023, we said, really, it's not an Asia play. It's really EMEA and Americas, not Asia. That's actually evened out. So you'll see the red block there last year. It's really all regions now are starting to invest. And then there's a few other things. One is nuclear. So again, I talked about a lot, will be required. It's pretty much flatlining. It's down slightly. There's 62 projects last year, 59 the year before. It's slightly down because a few more of those are in cheaper locations, but that's really flatlining. On the fuel side, it's very much around renewable diesel and sustainable aviation fuel, which is taking 91% of investment last year. And it was up a lot last year, but if you look at it over a 3 or 4 year period, again, it's still early stage. The challenge on hydrogen is not the supply, it's the demand. On SAF, it's exactly the reverse. The demand is really, really clear. It's really the supply and getting that in place that is the challenge for this technology. This is shipping, so clean fuels. Again, it looks pretty dramatic, but the key thing here, again, is the scale. So these are millions, not billions. So this is $500 million last year. So $500 million went into clean shipping. That's a few methanol-burning container ships that have come off the production line. Again, still super early. Actually, this is the smallest sector in our research. And then there's heat pumps. So heat pumps has been around a long time. You've seen an uptick a few years ago, but again, that is stagnating, coming down. It's very, very policy driven. So if you look at the bottom right here, the EMEA number, in Europe, a lot of the incentives have been declining, and that's really had a direct impact on the uptake. So those were the areas we looked at that are much earlier stage or struggling to grow. There's one last thing I'll mention, and that's AI. AI, last year really was the year of AI. It's now talked about pretty much everywhere. This is VC investment. So this is a forward-leading indicator, and it shows you the blue line of AI in 2024. You can just see how much larger that is against the clean tech line. So again, 2024 was really the AI year. Huge spike towards the end of the year, lots and lots of press around it. And I know that's one of the topics that's going to come up in a little while. So we're going to have a panel to talk about a number of these technologies. But hopefully that was interesting. Hope that's useful. And I'll see you in a little while. Thank you very much.